and welcome to another in my series of chats where I ask a lovely, familiar YouTube gardening face 10 questions and we get to find out just a little bit more about them and what makes them tick. So, without any further ado, I'm going to bring on tonight's guest, which is Danny. Woo! Hello, Danny.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
Danny.
are you all right?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Oh, good, thanks.
How does it feel being at the end of somebody who is going to be asking you 10 very direct questions? Is it a bit nerve
I
wracking?
feel like I'm on the other end of the stick now because it's normally me, but yeah,
I
this
know,
is
I know.
this is a
Was
bit
it,
different.
well, we can come back to that a bit later because we can talk about
Yeah.
your show. So yeah, but yeah, it must be very, very different. So I'm just going to launch straight in, Danny, and I'm just going to say to people, if you haven't seen any of the series before, um, Danny has been given these questions in advance. So he's had a little bit of time to mull them over, but at the end, Danny will be able to get his revenge and he'll be able to throw a question straight back at me that I don't know. And I'm a little bit worried about because I do know Danny. And, and I will have to answer that on the spot as best I can anyway. So, okay, we already know you as Danny, but I'm going to ask you who exactly you are and what's your channel.
So my name's Danny and I have the channel The Grapevine Garden. I don't only have a grapevine, but that is the origin of the channel. But yeah, I do no dig. I've got two allotment plots and yeah, I just casually show everyone how they can grow along with me on my allotment.
Mhm,
Pretty much it.
mhm. Is it just the one allotment you've got, Danny?
I've got two plots. I've got the Grapevine Garden and I've also got the fig and olive plot. So I bounce back and forth both, but they are both on the actual allotment site. Yeah.
Now, you see, I do this every time. This is only my third time of recording this. So, whichever order you're watching this, you will realize these questions do differ slightly because already I've jumped into the next question by asking Danny about his allotments because the next question was very much, where do you garden? Is it your allotment, your home, or other? And how long have you been doing it for?
I've been growing for years, but I'd say I've had my allotment about 3 years now, 3, 4 years.
Mhm.
Um, but I am planning on doing a kitchen garden in the spring as well. So I think I'll show a little bit of that next year as well. Me trying out because I'm always used to going to the allotment to get my produce, but there will be certain things that I feel shouldn't really be on an allotment if you need them on hand on times, like salads and things in the summer. So yes, but mainly is over my allotment plot.
So, when you say a kitchen garden, you mean actually doing one at home in your garden at home?
Yeah, so I've got a courtyard at the front. Sounds posher than it is, but I'm just going to convert that into maybe a raised bed or something raised up off the ground quite high, so I can just grow some salads and some spring onions and just things that you need on hand sometimes if you've got a barbecue and you just want some fresh salad instead of going
Absolutely.
over it. I'd rather it be fresh straight there than bring it over in a bag and it's a bit wilted. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the idea I've got with it.
So just to be able to step outside, I know the amount of times that we've picked stuff at the allotment to take home, and either you forget to bring it with you, or by the time you've got it back, it's a little bit worse for wear. So yeah, it does make sense to just have something on your doorstep, which would be lovely. So then you'll have the best of both worlds, won't you? Allotment
Hopefully.
and garden. Fantastic, fantastic. But Danny, question number three. What is your main reason for growing?
I think this sounds like such a straightforward answer, but it generally is to have some fresh food and the price of things as well. Like I absolutely love runner beans, and the price for a few of those at the supermarket is actually criminal. And the fact that you know how easy they are to grow, I just think there's nothing better than picking those off the vine, and they're just so fresh. And
Oh,
it generally is. It's such a cliche, but it really is. You cannot beat growing your own food.
no, no, no. And I mean, even if it's not just about the price, it's about the quality of the food that you grow.
Yeah,
It's fresh.
absolutely.
When you think about sometimes when you look at the eat by dates and things, and they can be like 3 weeks down the line, and you think, what have they put in these vegetables to make them last that long, it just seems a bit crazy. So yeah,
Absolutely.
to know where your
And you
food's coming
cannot beat a fresh, warm tomato, can you? Like, that's straight
from.
off the vine in summer. That's just the best flavour ever.
I think if people are starting gardening or are new to gardening, they are yet to, I think everybody would agree that fresh tomato and the smell, if you've got them growing indoors, the smell when you walk into that polytunnel or greenhouse, it's
Different
just,
world.
yeah, it's a different world. It's fantastic. I had to buy some tomatoes the other day. Not the same though, not the same. Yeah. So it sounds to me like you love your vegetables, Danny. What is your first gardening memory?
I had to think about this because I've got memories of growing with my grandfather when I was a child, but I was more watching rather than participating.
Mm,
Um, but then later on, I can always remember having the front garden at home, and I had borders going all the way around the paths, and having my Gardeners World magazines and just collecting the seeds from there and growing those. So I've always had an interest, even when I was a child, of growing flowers and food and things. But it was only when I took on the allotment that I really took it seriously of actually putting things in, like potatoes and runner beans and things. It was more just small border plants and the odd little sweet pea and things like that.
mm, mm. And I think that you're saying about just you're saying you didn't experience actually necessarily sowing and planting with your granddad, but just the fact that you remember watching him and you remember the garden. You're there, aren't you? Those memories are around you, and it's and you've developed that as you've gone on and sort of, I don't know, I find that fascinating that people
Yeah,
return.
you pretty much come from like the dig for victory sort of world, and the whole I can always remember the whole garden was always mud, and I used to be like, why is this garden like this? And not many others were in the area, but I at the time I didn't really think about it much. There was always a lot of beautiful roses as well at the back, but there was always all I can always remember all these rows of food, and I just think, why? Like, why? This isn't what you'd expect a garden to be like that I thought of. But now I look back and think, I never really appreciated that fresh food coming in from the garden because I never really questioned where it came from. But
Yeah, no.
looking back now, I know.
But it's as well, it's interesting that you were saying about the dig. And I know Mike's very first memories of gardening were his two uncles had a back garden and it was completely dug over. It wasn't somewhere to go and play. Now you think of as a back garden, the kids that go out and play, or the dog runs around or whatever, but it was a useful space. And any space that they
Absolutely.
had, and he said it was just leeks and potatoes. He doesn't remember anything else being grown there, but just dug ground with leeks and potatoes in it. And that was just, there was nothing, there was no art to it, nothing, but it worked. And I think now our attitude towards gardening is very different, and we do it, it is more of a hobby. We're not in the situation where we really have to go out and grow our own food. We're very spoilt in that way. But the whole dig for victory moment,
Yeah.
people were encouraged to grow their own, weren't they? But for you know, to feed themselves, So, yeah, but also very, very different if it was dig then, and you're mainly no dig now, aren't you?
No dig now.
I wonder what your
And I
granddad would
actually
say.
do. I'd like, if anyone's seen my channel, then I do kind of like it to be quite artistic as well. I am quite
Yeah.
conscious of how my allotment. Mine's not really a traditional allotment at all. Like, it's probably the other spectrum of it, and there is some clean lines on the one plot, and then the other plot's got really nice wavy beds and big colourful plants, and I I like it. The fig and olive plot especially, I do see it as a piece of art sometimes, especially in the summer,
Yeah.
because I've planned out every single colour for the beds and stuff, and every year you never know how that's going to turn out. And again, for
Yeah.
next year is
It
always
is
a gamble.
beautiful. If no one's been to see either of your allotments, Danny, king of the allotments, they need to come over
We
because
don't like.
it is beautifully done. But again, it's different approach, isn't it?
Well, like,
We can afford to, be able to put flowers and wavy
yeah,
beds and all that stuff in, because we're not being forced to grow our own food in the same
no,
way. So we're very, very lucky. But yeah, yeah, it's nice to be able to pick and choose what you want to grow. So yeah, lovely, lovely. Who or what? We were just discussing the style of your gardens. Who or what has influenced that style? check you on.
Um, I know, because I thought about this a lot, and I actually don't think my gardens were inspired by actual gardeners. Like,
Oh,
I come from an interior design background as well before I even started gardening. That was like a huge hobby of mine. And, I used to do some professional work as well. And then I think it's that's where, when you see my allotment, you can kind of see that I have thought about angles and juxtapositions, and just trying to make things that shouldn't really be together in a place. And I did push the boundaries a bit from, allotment rules by adding big ponds and things like that. And it is more like a garden, but yeah, I've thought about it so much, and I think it's just more. I've kind of just adapted my interior design passion into the
So,
garden, really, and
so that very
it's more.
much, whether it's subconscious or not, that very much has influenced the way that you garden, then, hasn't it? So,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think it's very, very difficult to think of one particular thing because as gardeners, we do evolve and bits and pieces from here, there, and everywhere. But if you've got that design background, what a great thing
yeah,
to then be able to apply that to your actual gardening itself. So yeah, yeah, I think
yeah.
that's
Like, I'm not a practical gardener at all. Like, I don't think, okay, that bed should be there because it it fits better there. I would think more about whether or not the angle was right, or whether or not I am quite practical in the way that I need to make sure that wheelbarrows fit and things like that. But my main thing before anything is the color and how
mm,
it's going to look when it's in bloom.
mm. And ultimately, you can do what you like with it, can't you? It's your own space. And
Yeah,
that's what's wonderful about having a garden. They're all so individual. So, right, that's interesting. I don't know too much about your design background, Danny. We
I
will
know.
have to discuss it further. Right, okay. Oh, quick surprise, closed question. Danny, summer or winter?
Winter every time.
I knew that. I knew that. We'll come back to that. Okay. Here we are. This could be it. Question number 9. My favorite question, and the one that everybody dreads. Is there anything that the viewers might not know about you that you would like to share?
I think some people know this. Like, I know you know this, Jane, but a lot of people, especially my viewers, will know this, that the Grapevine Garden within a few years will not exist, which sounds horrific, which sounds absolutely horrific for people who do enjoy my channel, but it'll still continue.
Mm.
But my end game is to um, pursue my nursing in Sweden, buy myself some land, build a log cabin, and have a big kitchen garden at the front, and the Grapevine Garden and the channel will continue there. But that's the end game within the next 10 years. So it's definitely happening. The cogs are already moving for that. I
Mhm.
just need to finalize things, and I cannot just move straight away. I got commitments and things. So yeah, within 10 years, the Grapevine Garden will be in Sweden.
Well, this is what's lovely, isn't it? It won't have gone, it won't be defunct. You will take everything and, maybe not physically everything,
Yeah,
because that would be quite a lot, but you will take it all up here with you. And it'll be absolutely fantastic to see it relocated
yeah,
in your
I
dream area.
know.
Why Sweden?
I just love I've been, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I felt like, it sounds really weird, but I felt like that would Wales is always my home, but I felt like that felt so really homely to me. And I love snow anyway. I always travel to find snow in winter, which sounds really odd because some people try and avoid it. But I absolutely adore snow and snowy scenes, and just it would just fit my life. I know I'd have to adjust my growing seasons, and it would be darker on times, but that's that's my end game, and it always
I,
has been. So yeah,
it's I can see a whole range of pictures of Christmas cards, Danny, with you on it, with your bubble hat on, in your garden, in your log cabin in Sweden. Um, what I was going to say was this is just going back to the summer or winter thing because I knew this would be coming up, and I must just say we had quite a lot of snow overnight at the weekend, and I sent Danny a little clip of the snow coming down quite heavy, and Danny was quite jealous because I don't think you'd had
I was very jealous. I don't know what it
absolutely love
is
it.
about snow. It does very, very much brings me back to my childhood and Christmas and
Yeah,
things. But I absolutely adore it. I get Jane, I've got excited. I get excited about it. I really do just enjoy it. And like, I'm one of the people that don't see snow as a hindrance on the garden. I see it as somewhere to sterilize it, show everything looks nice and clean.
Mm.
And it's a start. Then after that, spring is coming then. So I really enjoy it. And, Sweden seems to be the right fit for me.
Can you speak Swedish?
Not yet, no. But if my plan is though, if I'm in the middle of nowhere with this log cabin, I'm not really going to need to speak much Swedish. But obviously, if I'm still in the hospitals, then probably. So yes, I
Yeah,
think that will have to be in the plan within the next
yeah,
10 years is to
yeah.
speak Swedish. Yeah,
Listen, listen to a lot of ABBA as well. See if you can pick something up
yeah.
there. Ah, that's lovely. I think, I do think that's really fascinating that you've got that. I don't think I've got an end game. Isn't that awful? Yeah,
That's
that's good. I'm always quite content, but I think to have that, something to work towards, actually, that's great, really
Yeah,
good.
it's always been that's why the Fig and Olive plot has got a shed that looks more log styly with the log burn and stuff. Is and in snow, I was over there for the day. It was
Mm.
most people were bundled up in the house. I was absolutely relishing in it and spending the whole as much time as I could over the plot in the snow. It's not so much about sledging and throwing snowballs. It was just I like that. I
It's
just like that
atmospheric, isn't
landscape.
it? It's so
Yeah,
atmospheric, just the sound. I mean, if you've got that design eye as well, just
mm,
everything looks different. Yeah, it's
so
beautiful.
so
What's not to like?
different.
What's not to like? That's great. Lovely. Okay, Danny, what advice would you give to someone who was just starting out?
I say take your time, plan beforehand. If you haven't got an allotment yet and you're hoping to, then don't wait for that day for the call. Make sure you get things and just buy little and often of bits and bobs and stuff so that when you do start, and then I've said this many times, make one raised bed if you are doing raised beds, plant that up, and then as soon as you plant it up, sow more for the next one, and then just keep going down your allotment. Don't expect to do it all in one day,
Mm,
but then while you're still working on your plot, you can look back at the produce that's growing, and then you'll have something to be rewarding while every now and again when you carry on down your plot, you've got produce to pull out and seeds to put back in. So
mm.
yeah,
That's
I'd
really
say
good.
just
I think as well when people see they see an allotment on the television or on social media, and like you've been doing yours for years, I've been doing mine for years, forever, and you see it, and you think, right, okay, I want an allotment, and it's going to look like that. No, it's gradual, isn't it? And I think the whole
mm,
idea of putting something in there that you can be rewarded by each time, because there will be times when you don't want to go up, but you've got to.
yeah,
And even if you're in not a foul mood, but even if you really don't want to, if you had to drag yourself up there, you see that one thing, that one little bit of garlic peeping up, you
it's like Christmas Day, isn't it? When you see
go,
something that you've planted, and even if it's a harvest or you see something that's come out of the ground,
yeah,
it's such a nice feeling that you feel like it's a mini accomplishment already before you've
yeah.
even harvested it.
It's a reward, isn't it? And that's why we do it,
Yeah,
But yeah, to do it little and often. Don't expect miracles, but eventually, yeah. I was gonna I try not to go on about, but yeah, take each little bit, maybe record it, get a snap it on your phone, and
yeah,
soon enough
and
you'll have
also
sorted it.
take photographs of your progression as well because you quickly forget. You quickly forget.
Right, okay. Right, well, that's 10 questions, Danny. Now,
Oh
if only
wow.
I could say goodbye now, but I know the bit that I'm dreading is coming up very, very soon. As in now, if there is one question that you could ask me that's nice, and you think I can
It's
answer, what would
nice.
it be?
This is a classic me and you though, but
Oh dear.
and you'll understand this question when I ask. So, would you prefer Mike with carrots for hands or carrots for feet, and why?
Ah, oh, that's really scary. Now, this is because I sent a photo to Danny the other day with Mike. With he had it must have been 5 carrots, but he basically stuck. I mean, we make our own fun. He pretended that the carrots were his fingers, and so obviously Danny's had a fine time with that. Right? Okay. Would I prefer him with carrots for hands or feet? Is there any other option, or is it just hands
No,
or feet? Oh, that is, you know, that actually has made me really, I don't know, because the feet, oh, mhm. But then the hands, you'd have to look, at least feet, he could put some sort of shoe over the top and I wouldn't have to look at them. But then it would be a real shock going to bed, you know, especially with, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say hands. I'm gonna say hands, and he can wear mittens. There we go. There we go. There's some
Perfect.
way around everything. Thanks for that, Danny. You know,
You definitely won't get another question like that, Jane.
I never quite know what these questions are going to be. So yeah, that's really made me think. That's made me think. I'll be thinking about that for the next few hours. But on that note, with my old carrot hands there, I'd just like to say a huge thank you, Danny. Is there anything at all that you would like to say to people about coming and visit you? Where can they find you? How can they find you? What can they do when they
Yes,
visit you?
so they can find me on obviously on YouTube and on Instagram, but also you, as you know, Jane, you're part of the lives on a Thursday night. So if they want to come over for the autumn and winter, they're welcome to come across at 7 o'clock on Thursdays and watch our lives talking about growing through the autumn and winter.
Yeah, yeah, and they are really good fun. You've had Danny has a lovely selection of guests on. There's a whole load of new faces on there,
Oh,
so get yourself along and just show a bit of support because it. Again, we say it all the time, don't we? We've got such a lovely community here. So,
yeah, absolutely.
and saying that, Danny, as part of this lovely community, I would like to say thank you so much for coming on. And
Welcome.
before I say goodbye, I would like to say these, if you haven't seen any of these other videos, there will be a playlist and I'll put the link below. And also, as a little plug for my Patreon channel, that'll be coming up on there a couple of days before they come out on YouTube, ad free. So if you want to pop over and have a look on there as well, you can do. But until then, thanks again, Danny. I really hope everyone's enjoyed the
Welcome.
chat and we'll see you again soon. Bye.